Hey, this is C&D channel. I'm Chris. This is MMA for you. I'm going to be doing my post-fight analysis for InvictaFC 2. Overall, this fight card was awesome. I think. Geez, a lot of finishes, especially by rear naked choke. But there's some cool arm bars. Got a couple TKOs, doctor stoppages. Really good fights here. High level grappling too, that I really liked. I probably won't talk too much about like who these guys fight next. Maybe here and there I'll bring it up, but otherwise I'll probably talk about fighter performance and just some other topics that I'd like to get around to. I'll probably start with that first. I know on the third InvictaFC card, Jessica Pena is going to fight Naho Sugiyama, who fights out of duels as an undefeated. So that should be a really good fight for their first atomweight champion, actually. It's very interesting that they're going to have title belts. And I think it's generally a good idea that they have title belts. It's the 135 if they have a 135 title though, it's kind of strange because you kind of know like Ronda Rousey or whoever's the winner or the bantamweight female champion of Strikeforce is pretty much like the #1 female bantamweight. So kind of like torn whether or not like Invicta should have like a 135-pound champion. I guess they should. I mean, it signifies who's the best in that weight division in Invicta. So I mean, it makes sense in that sense. They had some early stream problems. That's the big thing that they're probably gonna have to fix. The commentary is awesome. I think Julie Kedsey's really good. She's really enthusiastic. Kingmo was kind of mumbling a couple times, but otherwise I really like what he brings there. Morrow, he's Morrow. I like him actually. I thought the ring announcer was not that great. He kind of just went on about things. She's a grappler, but she's really working on her stand-up, and it's like, oh gosh. The tarp also, the matte tarp is kind of hard because it's all wrinkly. And I guess the other topic, I can only say this after the fact, but it did come across like there are mismatches. Just the way that some of the fighters got just like destroyed. Pretty much. The only problem is, if you actually look at the fight on paper before we actually, I can only say it in hindsight because on paper, a lot of these fights, pretty much all of these fights, in my opinion, were, on paper didn't look like a mismatch during that time. It's only after the fact that I could probably say that. I guess let's get right to it. Sarah McMahon beat Shayna Baszler by unanimous decision. This fight was really good. There's some scrambles on the floor, especially in the second round, that were awesome. I'm really glad to see McMahon working on her stand-up more. She definitely needs work there. She uses a lot of lead rights, which, I wish she'd pump up jab a little more. She goes in a straight line. One thing I noticed too, just in general with a lot of fighters here, is that their stand-up, their grappling's really good, but a lot of the fighters here, their stand-up is really behind, like far behind their grappling. Obviously that's something that's going to be fixed later on as these fighters get more experience and whatnot. But it's very noticeable though. There's definitely more of a grappling, I guess, base, or like, I guess maybe grappling oriented, fighting style. One thing that's good about that though is they're really active on the ground. So It's not. There's no like lay in pray or anything. It's kind of like even I remember watching like Ayaka Hamasaki. You know, she's fighting Lacey Shuckman, takes her down. One thing you see, you know, like Shuckman's it doesn't control her posture, so Hamasaki postures up. You know, she's not just holding her biceps and then she like punches her in the face. You know, it's like sometimes like, you know, there's this idea that like, and the men's side on the high level, I mean, it's understandable that you have these guys that are playing a little more safe. They take you down, they hold your biceps down, maybe throw some pitter patter, but really hold the position to stay on top and win the round. You don't get that idea with these girls here. It's just like punch, you know, ground and pound, pass guard, finish. I mean, there's this real idea of like they're really trying to finish their opponent. They're not just trying to stall a lot of times. So that was really cool. I'm kind of afraid that like as the skill level goes up, you'll probably see a little more conservativeness with these fighters. I think you will. I think right now we're just really lucky to see, you know, it's still relatively new, and you're just seeing a lot of these women like really just going for broke, showing, you know, that they really have something to prove. Which is really cool. Back to the fight, though, I guess. Yeah, I like that McMahon was working on her stand-up. She seems comfortable, at least, staying, you know. King Mo kept bringing up that she came off kind of tense. She's moving around, using a lot of superfluous movement, which is true. But I was just kind of glad that she wasn't just like, because I've actually seen fight. I think it's the Maxwell fight where she just like took down her opponent and just kind of utilized the lane for it, you know. So it's just nice to see. It's like, wow, she's primarily standing with her, throwing power strikes, missing a lot, but you know she's still new. She was 5-0 coming into this fight. She doesn't have a lot of MMA experience, so it's understandable that she, you know, isn't great at stand-up. It's just nice to see that she appeared to be a little more comfortable in the stand-up, which is good, because you want to see that early on. You don't, because later on, like you see like Lesnar or like Woodley, where they're just great wrestlers, but you can tell they're so uncomfortable in the stand-up. So you want to get that out of the way early. Baszler, you know, she was really game. For someone that's been out for a while, she looked really good, especially in that second round. Was going for that leg lock around the middle of the round. Even got top position on McMahon as well. This is definitely really. I wasn't expecting this to be like the fight at night. I think it was. You know, I didn't expect this to be like this really exciting fight, and it turned out to be this really exciting fight. There was some controversy with the decision. The 30-27 one, I don't agree with. I actually understand it. You know, even in the second round, a lot of people gave it to Baszler, but like, you know, she was going for the leg lock, but McMahon was McMahon was really hitting her a lot while she's just going for the leg lock. Even when Baszler was on top, she wasn't doing much. McMahon honestly was doing a good amount of damage from the bottom. So I understand the second round, though. I'd still give Baszler the round, though, personally. And then there's the third round where like McMahon was pretty much just had a round for 4 minutes and 50 seconds, and then Baszler wobbles her in the last 10 seconds. And there's some controversy there, as if, you know, like I don't agree that like Baszler won the fight because of that. I think McMahon won round 1, which was round 1 was really close too. Especially since McMahon was punching a lot of air. I mean, she's hitting her mark too, but she's also punching a lot of air. And then Baszler was countering really well too. But I gave McMahon round 1 and round 3. Good fight. I would like to see 2 more rounds, actually. Eventually, I think hopefully we'll see Sarah McMahon versus Ronda Rousey one day. it seems like it's going to happen. They're in the same weight class. They're both 135 pounds. They're both Olympians that have won medals. It's an interesting stylistic match too, in that if Rousey gets it to the ground, McMahon could potentially have her arm ripped off, but at the same time, Rousey has to get it there. So, and it's not like McMahon is doesn't know how to work a clinch. I mean, I love her offense, actually. I remember in the third round especially, had her against the cage, had her in a clinch, and I think she was kneeing her stomach or just punching her a bunch of times. And it's not like she doesn't know her way around a clinch or anything. So I think eventually we'll see McMahon versus Rousey, hopefully in the near future. I think McMahon still needs some work, but she is improving. I like what I see from her. And Baszler too, really solid performance here. I'd like to see her fight most of the girls here are 135, to be honest. More to higher up, Carmouche, Alexis Davis, Amanda Nunes, Sarah Monster DeLelio. I mean, there's a lot of good fights for her. She looked really good. She looked really solid in this bout. Okay, next fight after that, Alexis Davis beat Hitomi Kano by rear naked choke in the second round. One thing that's really noticeable here is that, and the commentary said it too, it's that Alexis Davis really did look a lot bigger than Hitomi Kano. Despite that, though, skill-wise, even if that wasn't the case, I would still think that Alexis Davis would beat Hitomi Kano. Regardless, I like Alexis Davis's jiu-jitsu. She showed some really solid stand-up here. Definitely one of the more well-rounded fighters at 135. I think despite losing to Sarah Kaufman, I think we'll eventually see her against Ronda Rousey as well. Or whoever the champion, I guess that's what I should say, is whoever the champion is at 135. I think eventually, though, Alexis Davis will fight for the title. With the Kano, she should probably move down to 125. She still has stand-up liabilities. She's tough to finish. She's always a gamer, but she's a terror on the ground. But otherwise, it really is a case of she should move down, and then it's kind of easy to beat her in the stand-up. She's not much of a threat there. But yeah, good one for Davis. He choked out a really strong Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner in Akano. Oh yeah, and as far as picks go, I missed 3 of them. I missed the Jessamine Duke versus Susie Montero, Jocelyn Leiberger versus Cheryl Chan, and Nigdali Rivera Kalanick versus Angelica Chavez. So I got 11 out of 14. Next fight after that, Ayaka Hamasaka beat Lacey Shuckman by armbar. Cool armbar at the end. Hamasaka, she trains with Megumi Fuji and Akano. She has really good jiu-jitsu. I like her judo a lot as well. It really was a case of, Shuckman was always in. She was in there, but she's mainly in survival mode. She's really on defense a lot of this fight. So, but it's a good showing. I'd like to see more from Hamasaka as well, or Hamasaki, excuse me. Like I said, I liked her judo. Her takedowns are good, and her jiu-jitsu looks really strong. Next fight after that, Amanda Nunes beat Raquel Paluli by rear naked choke in the first round. She actually choked her out till she fell asleep, and then she had this post-fight. Nunes had this post-fight celebration that was a bit wild. I think she was elbowing Raquel. Raquel looked really good. She's a gamer. I remember her against Sarah McMahon, and even here. I mean, she was taking her back, taking Amanda Nunes' back here, and then she got reversed and got choked out herself. But she's a gamer. She took the fight on short notice. It's really it's a good performance from her, considering the circumstances. Nunez is someone I'm pretty high on. She has really strong boxing. And, you know, she showed some jiu-jitsu skills down over here. Now, there's some good opponents for her. She's lost to Davis, but, you know, I'd like to see her against Carmouche or against, like, Delalio. Geez, I forgot what weight division Honchak's in, too. But, otherwise, yeah, you know, good stuff. There's, you know, even... But, yeah, you know, I don't know about, like, Nunez's wrestling yet. She'll probably go against some people that'll try and take her down a lot, too. But, good stuff there. Next one is that. Sarah Delalio beat Vanessa Porto by armbar in the first round. This was really cool. It's kind of like this weird, like, triangle armbar thing. I'm really glad too, because I was really torn about this fight. Porto was, I believe she's a little more highly ranked during the time than Delalio. I picked Delalio to win. She was really aggressive and does have a good top control and a good ground game, and she showed it against Porto here. You know, her, you know, most recently, her only loss is to Ronda Rousey by that flying armbar, and even then she didn't actually tap. I'm not saying she'd beat her like Ronda Rousey or anything, but you know, she's very underrated. You know, like I said, just that aggression plus her grappling ability is going to be a real terror for some people. I'd probably like to see her against like a Carmouche. That'd be pretty cool. Stylistically, they're kind of like pretty similar, actually. I think Delalio probably has a better, like jiu-jitsu. So, but yeah, but that'd be a pretty cool fight, actually. And next right after that, Barb Honchak beat Bethany Marshall by TKO in the second round. This was one of the fights that I actually found to be a mismatch after the fact. It was just, she beat her up. I mean, bad. She beat up Bethany, and Honchak just beat up Bethany Marshall pretty bad. Marshall was undefeated coming in, but you know, she just didn't have any. She would get taken down, mounted easily. Honchak had some really good Brazilian jiu-jitsu. There was one sweep that was just like beautiful to watch, and she just keep punching her in the face until I think Big John had to stop it. Good win for Honchak. I'm curious to see who they give her next. I want to, you know, she has a really strong skill set. She's only lost to some top people too. I know she lost to Jessica I, and geez, I forgot who else, but there's someone else that's a top female fighter. It's a good win for her. Julia Budd beat Elena Nelson by TKO in the first round. It also came off kind of like a mismatch. Once again, I can only say it after the fact, but it's just, I didn't expect, I mean, Bud did take down Jermaine Durandamy, and she went for a really nice double leg here, actually. It goes to show she really is trying to improve her offensive takedown ability. One thing that's really going to be kind of weird, though, is like, with Bud is, there aren't too many fighters at 145 that she can fight. I can think of Randy Miller, Marlos Kunin, which would be a cool fight. Marlos has fought 135. I kind of like Marlos better at 135, to be honest. But that'd be a cool fight. Romy Russin. Bud's already fought Ronda Rousey and got her arm taken off, and she beat Jermaine Durandamy as well. So yeah, that's the only problem with that's the only thing with Julie Budd. It's like she's improving. Her stand-up's solid. She has really solid kickboxing, and she's working on her ground game as well. But I don't think they have a lot of competition at that weight class at 145. Good win for her though. Next fight after that, Carla Esparza beat Sarah Schneider by TKO in the second round. This was a cool fight, man. There's some scrambles here that were just nuts. I wrote on because I was on one of those live threads. I put, yeah, Esparza has like, one thing about Esparza is she has really good wrestling, but Schneider has really good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I mean, Esparza has really good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but you know, I knew that Schneider had like a really strong base there as well. And you know, it didn't disappoint once it hit the ground. You know, it's just like scrambles and whatnot. I'm actually trying to replay the fight in my head, and I can't because I remember just like so much was like going on in the ground. It was pretty awesome to watch. Eventually, you got these weird stoppages too, where like fighter would get like a mount position and do ground and pound, but the other person's covering up. But they like kind of turn away and they're still covering up, but they're not really like, they're not out, you know. But I guess they're not intelligently defending themselves. But otherwise, yeah, this was a really fun fight. I'd probably watch it again, to be honest. Both of them looked really good. Despite Schneider doesn't have the best record. I want to say it's like 7-7 now. She's a good fighter. Her takedown ability is good, and her jiu-jitsu is really strong. Esparza's is really good though. I know she beat like Felice Herrig before this. Like I said, she has really good wrestling and Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And this was a good win for her. I'm curious to see who they give her next. I forgot what weight class this is in, actually. Jeez, if it's 115, I'd like to see Esparza against like Ashley Smashy Cummins. That's another fight that's really impressed me as well. And next fight after that, Nigdali Rivera Kalanick beat Angelica Chavez by unanimous decision. I was way wrong about this prediction. I was opposed to Nigdali's style of just clinching against the cage, and you know, she wouldn't be able to complete the takedowns in a lot of fights that I've seen. But in this fight, she really managed to bully Angelica Chavez. She really went just balls out too. I mean, it was just like she'd go in, rush her against the cage, put her against the cage, do some dirty boxing, get her to the ground somehow, and just beat her up from top position. Chavez in the third round though showed she never gave up, even took her back. I was like, I seriously thought she was going to win from a come from behind victory, to be honest. I'd like to see both these fighters. They fight at anim weight, so there's you know, there's fighters like Jessica Penne, of course, Lisa Ellis Ward, Amy Davis. So there's some fighters that I'd like to see them up against. This was a really fun fight. I didn't think it would be, but it turned out to be really fun. They just, on the stand-up, they would just punch each, you know, like really just go at it. And you know, the ground game it's really active. That's the thing I really like. There's a lot of ground and pound from Rivera Kalanick. Chavez was trying to work from the bottom a lot of times, but couldn't, except in the third round. So it's good stuff there. One other thing to note here is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle backpack from whoever the guy that was in Rivera Kalanick's corner. I mean, this thing it stood out like a sore thumb. You know, there's this guy wearing a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle backpack. It was kind of, I can't really say if it was cool or not, but I think it was cool, to be honest. Okay, next fight after that, Raquel Pennington beat Sarah Morris by unanimous decision. This was a fun fight. It was really sloppy. There was a lot of scrambles and stuff. You can see that these two are both relatively inexperienced, but it was still a really good fight. Geez, not much else I can say about it. There's not much I can say too much about these fights. I actually missed the Jasmine Duke versus Susan Montero fight. This is when the stream was going out. Jocelyn Leiberger beat Cheryl Chan by unanimous decision. This was like one of the only fights where you saw a lot more just grinding from Leiberger. But yeah, and I didn't expect her to win either. But no, she managed to grind her way to victory. And finally, Liz McCarthy beat Jessica Philippus by TKO by Dr. Stoppage in the first round. This fight, like, this is, once again, it's one of those in hindsight things, because both of these two were making their pro MMA debuts, if I'm not mistaken, and it came off like a mismatch. I mean, McCarthy was just beating up Jessica pretty bad. So yeah, that's pretty much it for my post-fight analysis for InvictaFC 2. If you have any comments, just leave them below. And that's it for MMA for you. Thank you guys very much.